Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno's Best Comics of the Week, and this is a show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show. We go least favorite to best pick of the week and everything in between, and at the end of the video, we talk about the viewer's pick of the week, so in the comments below, let me know your pick of the week for a chance to be featured. But let's get started. I had about 13 books this week, so a pretty big haul this week. And number 13 for me is The Incredible Hulk issue 10. You know, this is a book I really like. It's actually one of my favorite Marvel books, but I feel like this arc has kind of lost its way a little bit. It's kind of spinning its wheels. Not a lot has been happening to our main characters, and I think there's a lot to still be told. There was that big cliffhanger with Betty and what's going on with the other Hulks, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And instead, we're going to this side story that's more of a horror creature storyline that, you know, I think we've seen already with Hulk. I want to see the plot progress a little bit more and let the characters progress. So overall, giving that 2 stars, and that is number 13. Moving on to number 20. And that's Amazon's Attack issue 6. You know, this is interesting because honestly, I think the best part of Amazon's Attack was just having the characters interact with each other, getting to see them fight alongside each other as this big political Wonder Woman storylines going on in the DC universe and the world is against them. So getting to the main plot of this comic and having to wrap that up wasn't the most interesting part. It really, again, was those characters that I don't feel like were able to shine as much with this issue. Even though I think the art was good and there's some good action, it just didn't do as much for me as those previous issues. So giving that 2 stars, and that is number 12. Moving on to number 11. And look, I've been getting on whim, and as Life is Strange, Forget Me Not. I've actually only played the video game once or twice. I have not played all of them, especially this volume of the video game. The previous comics I read at whim. You know, I read more at my leisure and not for the show. But when this came out, I was like, you know what? I liked that leisure book. Let me read it on a weekly or a monthly basis. And this arc, I feel like, has not been as new reader friendly as the previous ones. You know, I didn't really have to play the video game to understand the queer romance and the power aspect. Here I was like, oh, I don't remember what that character is. I don't really know what they're doing. And I feel like it just wasn't as new reader friendly. So giving that 2.5 stars as someone who doesn't know the games as much, but if you love the games, you might have a better ride with that one. All right, moving on to number 10, which is Local Man, Bad Girls, issue 1. It's a one-shot, so you don't necessarily need to pick this up if you're reading Local Man, but you get a little bit more depth about the female characters of this run and the 2 characters that our main character cheated with. You get a little bit of their background, but honestly, nothing really hooked me. There wasn't any part where I was like, you know what? I like that character more. I want to see them more. It's more about these 2 girls that honestly don't like each other talking to each other and getting a little bit about the past, but I don't think it was a necessary story for the overall picture. And I feel like Local Man has not been doing it for me as much as those beginning issues. So I am a bit on the fence with the book to see if I'm going to continue it or not. So overall, giving that 3 stars, and that is number 10. Moving on to number 9, which is Under York, issue 1. This is a Mirka Dalfo book. She does the artwork for this one. And the art is splendid. I love the style for this one. But, or a non-fan of magic, I guess I would say, this is not really a book for me. It's very magic heavy. It's about, like, the warring families. And I like some of the slice of life aspects of this book. I enjoyed, like, our main character being this artist, and you get to learn her supporting cast. But there wasn't enough for me personally, as someone who doesn't love this genre, to read the next issue. But if you like the art, you like this genre, I think it's a well enough done issue 1. All right, so that is number 9. Moving on to number 8, which is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 118. I do think this has slowed down a little bit since the battle between Lord Draken and Kimberly. So obviously love this book. I do think there's a lot of moving parts in this issue, but there's some good moving parts as well. You know, good interactions with characters that you wouldn't expect. I love the art. I think art kind of has this anime feel, but really fits the kind of the superhero vibe that Power Rangers also goes for. So I think that honestly was the most impressive part of this book, and just how consistent the artwork has been for Power Rangers has been great as well. But yeah, this issue just was more of a point A to point B, and definitely a little bit more, again, it was just a lot of moving gears for this one. So giving that 3 stars, and that is number 8. Moving on to number 7, which is Alan Scott, Green Lantern issue 5. I believe this is the penultimate issue. I like this issue a bit more than the previous ones. The artwork has been so strong for this one. You know, with Green Lantern books, you have to have coloring that's out of this world, and this book does that, especially with the reds and greens. But you also get a little bit of that mythos building of the Green Lanterns, figuring out who this villain is and why he's doing the things he's doing, all while you're tying in the Justice Society of America by the end. So I like this one. I thought it was better just because we are getting to see more of their relationship and actually getting to see them interact with each other. So giving that 3 stars, and that is number 7. Moving on to number 6. I'm sorry, that was 3.5 stars. Moving on to number 6, which is Jackpot and Black Cat, issue 1. I was torn on this book because there's aspects I like. I love seeing Felicia have a new girlfriend. I thought that was fun. I like seeing their relationship and just seeing them being friends. And honestly, the slice of life aspect was fun. I like premise for the most part. I was like, all right, they're being attacked by these people. Their loved ones are in harm's way. They have to help each other and they're friends while they're doing it. But then there's other aspects that just feel like it doesn't go the extra mile. I do feel like the previous Mary Jane and Black Cat book just got their relationship to a T. I was excited to read that next issue because of just the bonding they had. Here you get to see their friendship, but I don't think it goes that extra mile. It doesn't have that oomph, and even in the art, it doesn't have the oomph. Overall, giving this one 3.5 stars. There's elements I do really like about it, but it's just not as exciting to me as that previous volume, which I think really hit it out of the ballpark. So that's number 6 for me. Moving on to number 5. Which is Primer, issue 1. I was pleasantly surprised by this book. This is based on the graphic novel, so they're just releasing it as single issues. I've never read the graphic novel, so I was like, oh, this is a good chance to learn who this new character is. It is very kiddie, I will say that. It's not so much all ages. It is written for kids, but honestly, the reason this is so high for me is that the artwork is really good and crisp for this book, and also it leaves you on a cliffhanger. You're curious about this family that our main character has been fostered into. There's a cliffhanger with the mom, and I'm like, you know what, this gave me enough for another issue. It might not be targeted to me, but I'm having a fun enough time with it, so I'm gonna give that 3.5 stars, and that is number 5. Moving on to number 4. We actually got some more Spider-Man in the top 5. That is Amazing Spider-Man, issue 46. I like this arc. I like this whole Aunt Anna stuff. I've been enjoying her in jail, being friends with everybody, including Sandman. But I will say there are elements that don't work in this book. Sandman turning evil, again, felt strange to me. I was like, oh, he's joining the Sinister Six. It's supposed to be the twist. I didn't really care for it. And then the beginning, where we get to see this woman that Peter went on a date with, like, 50 years ago. No, in the beginning of the series, he went on kind of a date with this lawyer, and then she's like, well, you haven't called me back. I'm like, what? Why is she here? What's going on? Like, I forgot about her. Of course, Peter's forgetting about her. It just felt very out there just for Mary Jane and Peter to talk. I kind of wish she was just going on a first date with a random person. That probably would have worked more than whatever that plot line was. But the good is really good. I like Mary Jane and Peter's conversation. I think the artwork was really good. Again, I like Aunt Anna. I thought she was a lot of fun here. I liked her relationship with Sandman. I liked everything before the last page with Sandman. So I've been enjoying this arc, even if there is some bumpy parts to it. So giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 4. Moving on to number 3, and that is Green Arrow, issue 10. We get to see the girls back. I love Arrowette. I love Mia Dieter. Mia Dieter's one of my favorite comic characters in general. Just like seeing these characters team up, and you do have this whole Amanda Waller thing in the background with Roy and the stuff that happened with Heroes in Crisis. You have a really big plot-driven issue, all while you are getting these fan favorite characters popping in. Do I wish we had a little bit more of a character-driven story with them? Yeah, I think that's why it wasn't my number 1, but they bounce off each other really in a fun way. It's just cool to see them back in that capacity. So as much as I wanted it to just be about the girls, like, this is a limited series about Green Arrow, and there is a plot that has to be progressed. So I think it did as much as it could with those characters and giving them their unique voices as well, and also giving a spotlight on them for people who don't know who they are, which I thought was a really great way to introduce them as well. So giving that 4 stars, and that is number 3. Moving on to number 2, and that's Feral, issue 1. I actually never read Stray Dogs, so I have the trade. I never had a chance to read it, and I just kind of forgot about it. I was like, all right, now Feral's coming out. Let me jump onto this. And I can see why everyone loved Stray Dogs so much. I liked, from what I heard, Stray Dogs was more like a murder mystery, and I like that this book, it was more of a zombie story because it relates to rabies. So it's a different side of, honestly, it's a completely different genre. Because I was going to say it's a different side of horror, but I feel like it really is a completely different genre as well, because there's not the murder mystery aspect. And there's some good twists and turns in this issue too. We're following these cats, and they're trying to find their cat friend, and they do in the end. They're like, great, all right, we're all back together, and there's these weird like feral characters and animals around us, and then one of the main characters gets scratched. So you're like, okay, that's gonna be a kind of big deal when they turn into a zombie with rabies. So I think they introduced the characters really well. Obviously, the art is really unique and very Disney-fied, which is why we all love Stray Dogs in the first place. So I just felt like this worked really well, and I had a good time with it. So I'm overall giving that 4 stars, and really excited to see what that next issue is going to bring. All right, moving on to number 1, the obvious number 1, and that is Ultimate Spider-Man issue 3, is the topic of the video as well. Is Green Goblin going to be a hero or villain? So this issue, it's kind of a slower issue, but a really good character issue where we get to see May and her dad just having fun, trying to let Spider-Man pick his own costume, and you get moments like that. Then you also get the building blocks of this new newspaper and news outlet that Ben and J. Jonah Jameson are building. And then in the end, we you know, they've been really lingering on this Green Goblin character, and you find out, wait, maybe he's not a bad guy. He's kind of helping Spider-Man, and they reveal easily who they are. Well, Harry kind of forces Spider-Man to reveal who he is, and then Harry, you know, he says, "Hey, I'm Harry. Let's talk. Let's help each other." So I'm curious to see what he knows about the past world of the Ultimate Universe, what his destiny is. This is also a version where they didn't go to school together. They don't know each other, so they haven't been best friends for life. They're starting to be friends here. So, you know, I think Harry's an interesting character. At first, I was like, I don't want to see Harry as Green Goblin. That's the obvious choice, but Harry, we know, has been a villain, but he has been a hero in the past. So it's like, okay, where is Green Goblin going? Is there maybe another character that's kind of playing puppeteer like we have seen with Norman in the past? Is this going to be a good guy? You know, maybe we're going to revert our expectations. It's the Ultimate Universe. Anything can happen. And I think that's what's interesting, is like what version of Harry this is. Not, okay, who's under the mask? Because a lot of times you're always going to be disappointed by that. It's who is Harry in this, and that's the mystery, and I think that's the much more intriguing mystery. So I like this issue. Even though it's a little bit of a slower one, it still works. There's still a lot of building blocks here, which, you know, obviously Jonathan Hickman does a beautiful job at. So giving that 4 stars, that is my pick of the week. Let me know in the comments below what your pick of the week was, and the viewer's pick of the week from last week was Green Lantern War Journal, and here are some comments about that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.